Thanks for the content.
Yes, right. Thanks for the frustration. I think that's good because I wanted it to lead into, the importance and, making sure that due diligence is done.
Maybe the underwriter was having a bad day. Maybe we never even did the due diligence.
Yes. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Real Talk, Real Life, Real Estate. I'm afraid I'm going to say that wrong, but I think we got it.
I'm thankful you do the openings. I'm like, ducka, we do this. There. You're very good at them. Very good.
And I'm Gibby Eagle. I'm a native of Southwest Florida. I work for Maxim Realtors. And yeah, today I know we're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to make this a little bit more of a vulnerable, podcast today.
I'm excited. I'm Alexandra King with NRL Mortgage, your local mortgage lender located here in Estero, Florida.
Yeah. And you can contact us at realtalkrealliferealestate@gmail.com. And
Like, there are some days where you love your job, but there are days that you reflect on what has happened in your day and you're like, how do I do this for a living?
Yeah. And you become numb to stuff after a while. Like, I had got a call last night and, it was a little frustrating, but it's weird because I was so calm about it because I think I'm like, what worse could happen?
Another day, another problem.
I'm like, after 10 years, you're kind of just like, all right, like, let's find the solution rather than sit here and sulk and get pissed off and get irritated, which today it finally kicked in. And I walked in to see Alex and Giovanni and I was just like, okay, like finally seeing people in the industry in person. And that's what sucks too about real estate sometimes is it's a very secluding industry. So like, I get the news last night, I go on the radio this morning, go to the gym. That was like my 30 minutes of being alone. And then at home, trying to find solutions. So I'm on the phone and, and then finally getting here and seeing people in person that it's like in the industry and that can get it. It was finally like my breakdown point,
Yeah, no, it's hard.
But so, it's important to know, when you're recommending somebody and make sure you're comfortable with someone. And it matters who you work with. And, it's in doing your due diligence, like we talked about when I got here earlier. It's just like, I explained the situation. You're like, this shouldn't have happened,
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, not to go, I don't know how much you want to share with the peoples about what happened today.
It's just, I don't even know. Like, obviously I don't want to be offensive or anything, but it's, we're 2 days before closing and something came up that from what I understand should have been caught. And, it's very frustrating but the other point of it is finding solutions and making sure you get to the closing table, even though it is frustrating.
Absolutely. Yes, I know. And I was saying I felt really bad for obviously Gibby and for all parties involved, because if you think you're closing on a house and then 2 days before closing, all of a sudden the lender comes back and says, oh, by the way, you actually don't qualify for this mortgage. Nobody wants to hear that.
Especially when you're already buying or furniture shopping. And
right. So, and I obviously, just to be clear, I was not the lender.
She was not. Alex is absolutely wonderful.
I'm not bashing anyone. No bashing here.
Oh yeah, neither am I. It's just, being vulnerable and explaining the things that can happen in this industry. It's not always, people think of it as, you're just making money. I'm going to go get my license. And it's like, nope, there's a lot of headache.
Yes. And there's a lot of headache. There's a lot of heartache. And Gibby made a really good point. Like, this is part of the industry. And sometimes you have to roll with the punches. Mm-hmm. Even from a lending perspective, to get vulnerable with you, I do a lot of down payment assistance programs with the Hometown Hero program. Mm-hmm. I'm super passionate about that. But with those programs comes a lot of additional overlays that people don't know and understand about, because not only am I doing a traditional FHA loan or a conventional loan, I'm also working with a master servicer, which is Lakeview, because they're the ones that then take over the down payment assistance. They take over both the first and second lien of this program. Mm-hmm. So not only do I have to abide by my standard guidelines, I have their overlays and guidelines that I have to abide by as well. And sometimes there's like crazy things that like I don't even have access to that my underwriter will find, oh, page 6 of this document. I'm like, where did you even find that document, first of all?
Yeah.
You know, and not for nothing, but I had a situation like that just occur the other day. You know, I deal with a lot of people that are on visas that have asylum from Haiti, and they have a bunch of different types of visas. And you have to pay attention to the type of visa because it actually matters as to whether or not they have full asylum here or if they are in the process of gaining asylum.
Yeah.
So when they're in the process of gaining asylum, they're still considered a non-immigrant.
Wow,
like,
I didn't know that.
the servicing guidelines.
Yeah.
And so therefore I have to treat them differently than somebody who already has asylum, which is a different visa type.
Yeah.
So long story short, I was going FHA on a mortgage for a specific client of mine. And I found out I can't go FHA anymore. And the reason I was going FHA is because I was going to save them money, you know, per month. But the reality is I feel horrible, but I need to flip the loan product.
Yeah.
So I'm in the process of doing that. It was approved through, you know, Freddie Mac, which is fine. I had a little hiccup this morning. I tried to go a different route and it was like, no. And I'm like, but long story short, we're able to flip it. I mean, it's going to be a little bit more per month, but that's literally the only way they can close on this property.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I had a lot of digging I had to do to like figure out like what happened and why.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show like when there's a problem, you have to go find the solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's just and that's the whole thing with it. It's like just getting to the closing table, like whatever hoops you have to jump through. Like, there's no time to sulk and like be upset. Like, have your moment. Like, I came in here and it was finally just like I'm pretty sure I meditated all the way up from my car, and I was pressing the elevator button, like just standing there, like woosah. And I'm like, why is the elevator button not working?
Like, nothing in my life is working.
So I press it like 3 more times and I'm like, no, that's a sign from God. I'm taking the stairs. So here I am with my briefcase, everything, like chucking up the stairs, just like, okay, everything's fine.
Exactly.
It's like that gif where everything's burning in the background.
And the dog's just like drinking the coffee. Everything's fine.
Yeah. So it's like I got up here, vented, and they're like, we're not even a part of this deal, but we're going to help you find a solution if we have to, or if we can, you know, so.
Absolutely. But that's what we're all here for. It's really honestly giant teamwork.
And they've proved themselves. I mean, even deals that, you know, I've referred to her or whatever, like they're just there to like, you guys prove yourself to the point where it's like, I can't wait to get you my next deal, you know, so because it's true.
We're honored.
Yeah.
No, but we really do care about our clients. And you know, and I always say to you, like, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask the people who I know the answer, whether that be the underwriter or Giovanni, because he's been in the industry for 19 years, or, you know, we have a member on our team who used to be an underwriter. I don't know if you know that. So he's newer. He's a newer loan originator. He's up in the St. Augustine area.
Okay.
But he used to be an underwriter. He like literally ran a team of underwriters. So this man knows guidelines. So every question that I have, I'm like, yo, Sean.
Yeah, what up, Sean?
I have 97 job gaps. Can we lend on this? But I love him. No, okay, I'm kidding. I mean, but he's so great.
You'd be surprised with people that come in like, hey, by the way, I've had 14 jobs this year, but can I get approved?
Girl, I'm telling you, one of my loans I closed recently, yeah. So
but you closed it.
I did. Got it done. And her and I worked together for a solid 6 months because she needed both her incomes because she has 2 jobs and we needed to show a full year of that. So getting the history and like breaking it down job by job when she switched, because she switched jobs like 4 or 5 times. And so then I had to look at the job that she had. Then did she have 2 jobs at that time? Yeah. Oh, no, she didn't. Crap, that's a job gap. Because like with regular job gaps, that's okay. Yeah. But like when you're trying to do dual income, you can't have any job gaps for literally a 12-month period. So I had to go line by line and like, anyway, long story short, we got it done. And she closed, and it was one of my favorite deals to date because she's such a hardworking lady. And
just knowing that you helped her get into a home, like did everything you could. And that's the thing too. It's just like the hard ones are rewarding, but sometimes like this one, it's like as hard as it is. And like I don't even care about me. The fact that it's affecting her. Yeah. You know, that's what bothers me because I'm like, thank God they didn't catch, like the financing contingency actually extends past the closing date. Right. I'm like, you know, that's great. You know, if they were not, but it also too, it's like, all right, if you're not going to extend this Closing date, we can still get our escrow. So what do you want to do?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly,
so we have a
best
ball
case
in our
scenario
court.
right there, like, which doesn't always happen. So total God.
Oh yeah, I know. I can't say that I really did that on purpose, but
great. Look at her looking out for the peoples.
But it's like they're rewarding, but when it affects my client, that's where it hurts more in the gut, because I know how excited she's been, and just going over there, meeting the contractor there, and deciding how she's going to remodel, and then it's like,
exactly,
we're going to do anything we can to figure this out.
Right. Like, can you imagine thinking you're closing on your home in 2 days, and then literally you get a phone call saying, oh, by the way, no, you don't qualify? Like, that's gut-wrenching.
Gut-wrenching. And while you're looking at furniture,
right? Like, you literally have furniture that you're putting in. You have a contractor. Like, you're like, wait, I got the clear to close. I thought. I'm confused.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of that to say, it really is just about, in this industry, doing the due diligence up front with those tougher scenarios.
Yeah.
And not just saying you're doing the due diligence, because you can forget to get back to somebody because you say you're going to look into something and then be like, oh, sorry, no, we're good. Like, don't do that. If you actually forgot to reach out to an underwriter or something, just be honest about hey, I'm sorry, that slipped my mind. I really am.
Because it is so true. If you're not honest in this industry, it comes back for you and bites you in the butt. It always does. Like, just, there's no reason to sugarcoat, because it will come back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I always say too, in this industry, like, if you don't ask the questions up front and do the due diligence of, like, truly understanding your client, truly understanding their assets, truly understanding their income, if you're just rushing through the file, you are going to end up making mistakes, because there's going to be something that you've missed that could come back to bite you in the butt. Like,
for sure.
Even my straightforward files, I like re-review to make sure I'm like, okay, nope, this is good. I mean, granted, I do a lot of complex dual income. Like, and I mean, to some people, like, that doesn't sound complex, but a lot of my clients do have multiple jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to.
Yes, or I need to use their overtime, or things like that. And then, like I said, immigration, their visas, that makes things a little bit more complicated, because you have to make sure that you actually can lend.
That's cool that you do. I didn't even know that you did that, but that's cool. Is it like a passion for you? Or is it like, how did you get into it? I guess. So it's really, that's like, a lot of people would be like, nah, I'm good. That sounds complicated.
It's actually that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So it's funny. I got hooked up with this realtor he's Haitian. He actually, funny enough, the client was actually mine that introduced me to him. It was a referral from another agent from John R. Wood. I started working with this client, and obviously her and I had worked together to kind of determine her job, what she was looking for. So I think the client felt loyalty to me, which was great, because we'd already talked a lot. And she ended up switching realtors to this realtor who is Haitian by descent, and a lot of his clientele is also Haitian. So her and I, that was actually the first loan that him and I closed together. Well, actually, that's not true. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Him and I started working together because of this client, but it ended up extending for almost a year before she bought a house. But because of, my communication with her and communication with him, he started sending me a couple other clients. And, they are a bit more complicated and complex, and sometimes there's a language barrier. But I always said to him, they're welcome to come in, bring them. You need to translate. That's fine. You can, but I'll sit here and we'll go over everything. Yeah. And I think for me and for him, it works. And I've closed a lot of loans with him, actually.
That's awesome. I mean, because a lot of lenders, they want you to go online and fill it out, and nothing is very personable anymore. And some people like to go sit down and
and
understand.
And a lot of the times he'll help his clients fill out the applications. And I think he likes that I'll take the time to stop and talk with them and, figure out their jobs and, like, make sure we figure out how to qualify them. And, like, I'll go above and beyond just to make sure that we actually can do the deals. And the other thing I learned is that there are some companies out there that actually have their own overlays that will not lend to certain visas. So I actually, the loan that I was just telling you about where I had to flip it to conventional with the DPA, they were actually with another company originally, another loan officer, and he told them that he could not do the loan based on their visa type because of their company overlay. So there are specific companies out there that will not lend to specific types of visas.
Interesting.
I am lucky enough where my company does. And not for nothing, we have a whole tool of eligibility to see the visa type and what types of loan programs we would lend on. So when I put it in that eligibility tool, I thought I had all the options.
Yeah.
Then you find out the master servicer is like, no, ma'am, you don't, which is fine. You know, we we flipped it, and like we're moving forward. There's not going to be any issues, and we still have to the end of the month to close the loan anyway, because you know we have a great system here. So like, praise Jesus, that we have such a good system that I can find this information out, you know, yesterday, and today I'm able to correct it, and tomorrow we can just move forward as a conventional product instead of FHA, instead of waiting 2 days before closing to be like, ooh, whoops, by the way. And sorry, and that's also not a knock. I just want to.
No, it's
I just want to be clear, that's not a knock.
It's just in general. Like, you're just saying you do your due diligence, and you guys have a good system. Like, it's not a knock. It's
in the system.
It happens quite a bit that, you know, just before closing something ends up happening.
Right.
You know, and it's especially like Giovanni was saying, in this time in this market, like, you really have to know what you're doing, and almost be a little bit more strict. Like, I feel like, you know, does that make sense? Yeah. Like, because people are starting to crack down a little bit, you know.
Yeah, and you know, I was talking to him about the market and the loan officers that are in this market, and you know, I truly believe that there's enough business out there for everybody, but I also feel like the way that we do business and the way that we need to do business moving forward has changed.
Oh yeah.
And I say that because of the fact that yes, there are definitely less people looking to get mortgages right now, because rates are still, you know, high 6s, low 7s.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just thought, whoopsies. Sorry, that was just a joke between us.
Making sure.
Do we pause it? 47, 48.
Okay,
no, we're
still
good.
Going. I was like, why is the light not on here? I was like, is it not that we're recording? Whether this is working or not, I don't know.
I was going into my monologue.
I'm like, no, we're done today. We're done.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, high rates. I was like, I think I was monologuing. Let me get back there. Man. That's great. Yeah.
You're saying there's not a lot of buyers out right now because the interest rates are higher,
and the home prices are still what people are considering high. I mean, they're not dropping. That means slowly, a little bit, but not not to the point where people are like, oh yeah, let's purchase.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, interest rates are a big factor. I mean, they're the highest they have been in 25 years or so.
I think. I read that the other day. I don't know if
or like 22
years.
I
think it was like
20. Yeah, in the 20s.
It was in the 20s. It was I would say 20 plus years.
So that's sticker shock to people. And like, you know, if you talk to people that bought back then, they're like, oh, when I bought, the interest rates were in the double digits. I'm like, but the home prices weren't like this, you know?
And so that's people's biggest thing right now. And then also inventory is still very low. And so if you put all of those things together, it does mean, you know, less borrowers. But I've always been of the firm belief that if you do your job well, you take care of your clients, you take care of your realtors, and you truly do care about the people, the business will come back to you. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you know, that sounds, I mean, it could sound cliche, but the reality is.
It's very true. This industry, mortgage real estate, it's all about relationships. It's all about being personable. And I read since, I think 2023, I mean, the 60,000 realtors have dropped out of the industry, obviously nationwide, but it's just, you start to see when things get a little tougher, interest rates start going up. It's not like COVID time where it's like you have cash buyers or investors just throwing cash and, you know, whatever it is, it seemed easy to make money, you know, especially if you had listings, you know, but it's just like since 2023, 60,000 realtors have dropped out because it's tougher, you know. But
the market's not what it was.
But people like you or me that are relationship building and personable with people, you will stick through this market, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're gonna ride the wave with everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a wave, and the reality is, like, truly, it's not so. You could be the best mortgage lender in the sense of like know the guidelines by heart, like know every. Okay, let's take the underwriter, for example. Does that man know how to put together a file? Of course he does. But is he going to be successful if he just sits behind his desk and doesn't get out there and doesn't talk to people and doesn't make those relationships and doesn't allow people to see him and know him and just understand his passion and how amazing he is? No. Because the reality is, in this market, we have to switch things up. We have to be top of mind to people.
Yeah.
And so I say that on top of everything that I said. Obviously, it's about the relationships, about the clients,
but
about caring.
You don't want people to forget
Exactly.
like, hey, are you still mortgaged? Like, you got to be top of mind.
You have to be top of mind. So you have to be good at marketing yourself.
Yeah.
That's part of this business. And if you are not marketing yourself in this market,
you're not going to see it. Whatever it is.
You're not going to see success. And that's the reality. It's not COVID times. People are not banging down your door. You now need to be banging on theirs saying, hey, how are you? How can I help you? What can I offer you? How can I assist you? How can I make your life easier?
Yeah. Yep. And that's too, like, I think we talked about it. Another podcast is that people in this industry like to fake it too much.
Yeah, they do.
It's like, oh yeah, everything's great. It's like anything, one of those things, anything you see on social media is true.
Right.
And I'll talk to different agents or whatever. Like, I'm probably one of the most vulnerable people you'll ever meet. So it's like, I talk to their agents, like, how is everything? I'm like, honestly, it sucks. It's been sucking, but I'm just like, they're like, thank you for finally saying that.
You're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, because it's annoying and it's stupid, So it's just, people have been trying to act like things are hunky-dory. Like, after experiencing what we did the last few years, like, this year was kind of like, good thing I know how to save money, because there's a couple months there where it was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to go back to bartending. Like, I'm gonna have to cut back on my spending. But then it kicks back around, because if you're in it for the right reasons, you experience these slow parts every year. And then if you're in it for the right reasons, you just start to see the when people are ready, they just start to kick back in, or you start. So it's just, you got to ride the wave. And if you're not in it for the right reason, you will drop out.
Right. Because that part of you will eventually show through, whether it be the way you treat people, the way you talk to your clients, the way you are not there for your realtor partners. Yeah. This business is a lot more than just, closing. Because I know that's the part that you all see.
Yeah.
And that's what Gibby was mentioning earlier. There's a lot of really hard parts. There's a lot of hard things that go on behind the scenes. And even getting a deal put together.
Oh, yeah.
You representing your buyers, getting with a listing agent, like, that in itself is difficult these days, because some sellers are not wanting to budge. And the reality is, they kind of need to in this market to actually get a buyer to want to stick around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we all have our work cut out for us in this market. And it's just different.
Yeah. And I got a random call the other day off of one of my listings, and this guy up in, I want to say maybe Wisconsin or something, but we're just chit-chatting, and, and I offered to send him more listings. And when I was reaching out to him, because he said he wanted to do short-term rentals, and I explained to him, like, if you're gonna do short-term rental, I don't recommend doing flood zone, because you are wanting to make money. You're gonna have a mortgage. Like, if this is something you want to do, like, to offset costs when you're not here, it's probably not the smartest. And and then I told him about short-term rental insurance, how expensive it can be, because they're trying to weed out those short-term rentals in order to put more long-term rentals on the table and stuff, and just make housing a little bit more affordable. And we chit chat, and he's like, I appreciate you just talking to me about this. He's like, most realtors would not go this far, or just explain this much, or do the research, or whatever it is. And I'm like, but that's because I enjoy my job, and and I want you to understand what kind of financial commitment you might be getting into, rather than like, yeah, let me just send you some listings, and what, we're going to close this deal and whatever, I'm going to get paid. It's not like that. I'm like, I'd rather, and he texted me a couple of days later, like, I talked to my financial advisor, and I need to take a step back right now and not buy in Florida. And, and he's like, but you've been so great, I'm going to save your info, and it's just like, just building that relationship. And, it's just, but sometimes people are just get it to the table.
Yeah. And the get it to the table attitude is not how you build that longevity, and not how you build that connection with your borrowers, and not how you, in the end of the day, the people who are going to refer you are the people that you slowed down with, and that they're like, oh my gosh, like, she was the best. Like, you need to talk to her because she explained things to me that I didn't understand, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, like, to my clients, like, please stop me if I'm talking about things you don't understand. Like, please call me with your questions. Like, I am more than happy to schedule a time with you to go over everything, and a lot of people do take advantage of that. Then there's some that are like, I don't care, whatever, I trust you. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you for trusting me. Number one, but like, are you sure? No. You know what I mean?
Because it's almost like you do want to break it down, so there's no misunderstanding or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Like this, yes, I'm here to guide you, but you also are the one that needs to make every decision at the end.
Exactly. And like, yes, I'm here to guide you, and I will be like, yep, XYZ, that's correct. Yes, this is your final cash to close. And I guess if you're good with that, then I mean, if you don't care about anything else, that's fine. But I also want you to almost walk out of the closing like, oh no, like I actually kind of understood that process, and I actually feel pretty comfortable with what happened, and it was actually not that stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that can't be every transaction, granted, because I've had a couple doozies, like, and you know, it's not even. It's just like I said, it's one of those things where like due diligence wasn't done up front with flood zones, where unfortunately with down payment assistance programs, I will be honest, because there's an entire different entity that is also going to be taking over those loans. Like I said earlier, there's more guidelines that we have to abide by.
Yeah.
And sometimes things get a little sticky, and there's nothing that I would know until I get to that point. And I try to tell that to people. I'm like, listen, I think down payment assistance programs are great, but like you need to understand, like there's also a lot of overlays that we don't have control over. So this process might be a little touch and go.
Yeah, it's involving a whole nother third party into the mix.
And I try to be upfront about that with people because I want them to understand, like, hey, it's not me making these rules. If this was a standard FHA loan, we would qualify. But here we are. So here's my solution. And like, you know, I had a crazy loan like that. And I think I kind of talked about where in a nutshell, it went down payment assistance with the FHA mortgage. I'm sorry, with a conventional mortgage, because we couldn't go FHA at the time due to the fact that the house was a flip. So there's just lending rules that basically say the person who's flipping the home needs to have it in their possession for 91 days. So I ended up making the deal work with a down payment assistance program going conventionally. Long story short, it got denied through the Hometown Hero program. Yeah. And so literally at that point, I was like, okay, what do we do? So luckily, in that time frame, we got everything else on the loan approved, the income, everything. So the only problem was we would have to flip it back to FHA. I had a gift on the table, like everything was fine. It was just the fact that I couldn't use the Hometown Hero program anymore, and that was the only way I could get the loan to go conventionally. But guess what? I talked to the listing agent, and we were within 3 days of the man owning the house for 91 days. So guess what we did? We rewrote the contract. They gave me a 2-week extension. We went FHA. I literally flipped the appraisal to FHA, and we closed.
Yeah.
So we got it done. Did it stink to have that conversation with everyone? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did I pull the Band-Aid off immediately when I was like, we have a problem here, but here's my solution. So I'm that person. I'm like, here's the problem, but I've come up with a solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the loan closed. And you know, it was stressful for everybody involved. Of course it was. It was stressful for me too, because I'm like, these borrowers need to be out of their apartment by September 4th. They wanted to close the end of August. Like,
when it starts creating domino effects, it's just
right.
Like, holy crap.
Exactly. And I understood all those things. And I was like, listen, the only way to keep this together is for me to explain what happened to the listing agent and basically tell him, you're not going to get another lender to bring this under contract and close in a 10-day. It was actually a 10-day extension. I said, so we have everything approved. So if your seller is willing to give us till September 4th, we'll get it done. Everything is approved. I just need to flip the appraisal, and I can't order the appraisal until Monday. And he's like, well, I don't know. And I said, well, here's the reality. You can back out of the deal, but your seller is going to be holding on to the property longer if you do that. He talked to him. It was fine. Yeah. So, but I mean, I get it. I understand. This is people's money on the line. Like, I'm not naive to it, and I wouldn't have said I could get it done if I couldn't.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is like, don't be honest. Like that's like highlighting on that. Like just be honest. Don't sugarcoat things because it will come back and bite you. It's just about just making everyone feel comfortable with your word. Because if you are sugarcoating, there's something inside everybody that's just kind of like, I don't know, something's not sitting right with me,
Right. Exactly.
So, as long as you're honest, I feel like people do feel like that genuine side of people. And like, that's why you're able to get those things done and, have that relationship even with the listing agent and make her or him or her like feel comfortable. Like, all right, you know what? we're going to extend and, you know.
Right. And I know no listing agent likes to do that.
No, but they got to feel comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And I that's why I went over everything and I explained it from start to finish of what happened. And I'm like, there's no way I could have known this was going to happen. Because the craziest part was, and I will say, kind of back to your scenario, I had in writing that I could do what I did. And then it was denied.
Yeah.
So literally did my due diligence up front, got wrong information from somebody at Florida Housing.
Oh, yeah.
Had it in writing, and then was told I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and just rereading the guidelines, like they're written weird, and that's why I had asked her, and she obviously answered, she read it the way I read it.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, even doing your due diligence up front sometimes comes back to bite you in the butt.
It does. Yeah. And it's a learning process. It's not everything goes perfect every time, you know.
Gosh,
like
no.
If you are doing your due diligence and it doesn't, you know, it's everything's a learning process. It is. And I also too, like I was really surprised by some of these facts as we were talking about, you know, just home prices and stuff, just in the state of Florida. Where did I see? Said the median sale price is $415,000 right now. So it's still going up. I mean, compared to last year. So it's just, you know, it's just in this market. Like if you're, like we said, if you're in for the right reasons, you'll keep those whatever buyers that are in the market to buy right now, you'll get those.
And you know, and not to try to push buyers or anyone, but I've been encouraging people sitting here on the sidelines waiting for rates to drop, waiting for home prices to drop. Reality is we're not seeing that. Like the market is trending exactly what you just said. Home prices are slowly still exactly where they are, they're going to continue to rise, and rates are where they are. I mean, are they projected to drop in the next year and a half? Yes, but we also thought that was going to happen back in May, and then everybody switched their tune. So, you know, we're just like, ugh. So reality is, if you can afford your monthly payment at the rates now, it doesn't make sense to keep waiting. And I actually have this really cool, just for an FYI, if you are having buyers who are just like sitting on the sidelines, I have a cost of waiting worksheet where I can actually plug in legit numbers.
Oh, that's cool.
From a potential home that they're interested in to show them the cost of what 6 months of waiting, 1 year, 2 years. And like, not only is it going to cost them more out of pocket, it actually shows too, like how much they're actually going to lose out on equity.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I have that tool, and like, I've been like kind of playing around with it, and I'm like, wow, like if you're able to buy now, it doesn't make sense not to, if that's what you're looking, if real estate's what you're looking to invest in. Because we know what's going to happen. Rates are going to start to come down.
And all the buyers are going to
come back into the market.
We're going to flood.
We're going to flood. And then we're going to have our sellers saying, I'll take that one. That's cash, $50K above asking. So what you're going to be doing is putting in 6, 7, 8, 9 offers and potentially coming up with 0 offers accepted. And nobody likes that market. That was my least favorite market. I'd rather this market, if I'm being honest with you, because at least my buyers are being able to communicate with the sellers, obviously via their agents. And they're getting some concessions. I'm seeing a lot of seller concessions.
That's why I like this type of market, because I love negotiating. I love actually feeling like I'm doing something for my client, rather than just like during COVID times, it was like, how much are you comfortable offering over? Like, because in reality, I don't know if it's going to appraise, and this is all a luck or a game of luck. That's it. So now it's like this type of market, I'm like, you know what, let's offer, you know, below, or let's get concessions. And it feels good to, you know, for them to be like, wow, I'm so glad we did that.
Exactly.
Instead of, because people still have those nerves, you know, and sellers are still up in the clouds in some sense. If the agent is not, if you're trying to get a listing and you're trying to get the listing just by telling them what they want to hear, it's going to bite you in the butt too. Like, you know, you got to be honest, and you got to list at market value or below, and it'll move.
Do you want to hear something funny?
What?
I just got an appraisal back from the one I was just talking about. So agreed upon price was $335 with a $5K seller concession. Praised for $307. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you want to know why? Because all of the information in the MLS was wrong about the size of the house. Like, there was wrong information.
What?
So when the appraiser did his appraisal, he started comparing comps, and he realized very quickly that he was comparing apples to oranges, and he had to redo everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were able to negotiate though, and I actually talked to the agent, and they were basically like, well, what if we brought it down to like 310 with like 3K concession? And I said, no, why would you walk into a home with negative equity? I said, offer 307, get rid of the seller concessions. That's what he did, and they accepted it.
Wow.
So, because I was like, no, that doesn't, do not walk into a home with negative 3K in equity if you don't have to. I understand that things are going to keep going up, but when you want to refinance later and say you want to pull cash out, like that matters.
Yeah.
You're already behind. So it didn't make sense to me to walk in, especially when they don't need the concessions.
Yeah.
It's already a DPA program, so they're already getting money.
Yeah. That's like too, like the listing, I put it on. I guess it's been 2 weeks now, almost 2 weeks. I put it up. I priced it at market value. You know, I'm not going to tell my sellers price it here just to get the listing. Like I was very honest and explained it all to them. We listed it and we had multiple offers. But it's because we're not trying to be unrealistic. Like if you want this to sell, like I'll tell you where we need to sell it. Like, and it's in all reality, even if you list like even 10K over right now, like it makes a big difference. And there's 2 other properties in that community. There's only 3 on the market. 2 other properties in there have been on the market for over 90 days.
Yeah, because they're priced
too high. But it's
too
just because it's, they're seeing this go under contract, and it's like, what the heck? But it's like you're not being realistic, you know?
No, it's true.
Yeah, but
no, it's good, and it's good that you guide your sellers, and you're like, listen, here's the market we're in. This is what I do for a living. This is what I'm seeing, and this is where we should list. Do you want your house to sell in less than 90 days? Cool.
Yeah.
Here's what we should do.
But it's like even the one that you were just talking about. It's like just you're overpricing it because even the facts are incorrect. You know, like what the heck?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I was like, this is wild
to me.
Yeah,
it's almost like he was looking at the wrong property or something when he was inputting everything.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it was on purpose, obviously, but the appraiser was like, I mean, granted, I don't get to talk to the appraisers myself. I go through a third party. And when I asked why the report wasn't back, I got the response from the appraiser basically stating everything that he was given was wrong. So he has to redo his report because he has wrong comps. And I was like, then in my brain, I went, oh, that's not good, because that means that this house was probably priced with what they have in the MLS. And long story short, came in low.
God, I love our jobs.
And I was just like, oh, wow, that's really low. I was like, ugh. I was like, so what are we doing? We negotiating, or we saying bye?
Yeah, it is so funny to me that, because it's funny. Like I've had so many people reach out to me lately, like, hey, I want to get my real estate license. Any advice? I'm like, well, if you really want to know, but I'll give it to them. And I'll be honest too. Like if you're going to get into it, like here's where I would recommend going to take the schooling. And if you're going to get into it, I'd go to a real estate company that has trainings and has splits until you're comfortable, and then branch off. Like, but when people write me about it, like I feel like they think, even in your industry, like they think it's rainbows and butterflies all the time, or that I don't know why there's that stigma on it, I guess.
Probably like selling Sunset.
Yeah, there you go. $1 million listing. Yeah. Or like the people where HGTV, they go in and they're like, I walk raccoons for a living and my budget's $1 million. Like,
right. And you're like, what? Okay, well, what do you make? I'm confused.
So yeah, you're probably right. It does make it seem like this industry is so great. Like literally Friday, I was moving a fridge in the grass.
I saw you on Instagram.
Like, we were closing that day, and I'm
they
like,
just didn't take their fridge, or
well, they had moved. It was stuff in the shed out back, and I didn't really think to look in there before she moved back up north. They were buying a home up north, so they were closing on their home up north that day.
Oh,
sellers already signed, and we had the closing at 2. And buyers go do the walkthrough, and I get a call from the buyer's agent. We need this move. We need this move. We need this move. And like, I was on my way to the gym, so I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm changing up my workout routine today.
You're like, I got it.
But it was just like I'm like, this is what, like, and that's why I posted that video, because I'm like, this is what we do in this industry. Like sometimes it's just like, we don't have time to call around to junk removal companies. It's like, get this crap out,
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's funny because, like I said, I've been getting texts from people like, hey, I want to get my real estate license. I'm like, have fun.
I mean, and that's the thing though. It's like, but if and what I would say to somebody asking for real estate or mortgage, all the things that you said are super correct. I also would say, get a mentor.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
find a brokerage that has somebody that you can follow and ask questions to.
Oh yeah.
Asking questions is super important. And other thing I would recommend, and like I do this with, I have a lot of John R. Wood agents that I work with. Full disclosure, my first ever real estate partner was my mother. She's John R. Wood. But she's since introduced me to a couple others and is growing a team. So not for nothing, but I've been able to do a bunch of lunch and learns with them because I want them to feel comfortable asking about the mortgage process. I want them to know that they can call me if they have questions. And not for nothing, it's one of those things where I would recommend to your new real estate people, find a mortgage professional that you trust and that you like, that you can ask those mortgage questions to, or even just sit down with them and go through, like, what does a mortgage process look like? Like, what does a closing disclosure look like? I just had a meeting the other day with a new, she's going to be a buyer's agent for a team. And we went through all those things because she's like, honestly, I have no idea. And I'm like, come sit. I'm super happy to go through things with you. So I would
I enjoy that too. Like just sitting down with someone that's new in the industry needs help, because I was there before.
You know how it feels.
And I know that there's enough business to go around. Like I don't feel like you're my competition. It's like, let me help you out. But I will tell you, I have sat down with agents where they want my help, and it's one year out the other, and there's never it's just kind of like you realize, if someone's like hungry and like eager, like I have no problem. But there's sometimes I've sat down with people and I'm like, you don't really want my help, or you just, so it's just, I have absolutely no problem if you're hungry to understand this career, because I know that your heart has to be in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bottom line, your heart has to be in it, and you have to be willing to ride the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of lows and there are some amazing highs. I mean, we're talking about some of the lows we've had recently. I mean, granted, yes, I had a success story and she's about to have a success story because we're gonna figure it out. But the point is, like, those moments of like that horrible crushing news, like if you're not able to get up from that and dust it off and figure out the solution, or even move on to the next deal if it completely dies, you're not going to be successful in this industry.
Yep. No,
you're not. Because
like I had my little moment, and now it's like, all right, and it's crazy because before just starting out in this industry, I would have freaked out. I would have cried. I would have but it's like, it ends up working out if it's supposed to.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if it doesn't, like, and I've had deals that have literally crapped the bed, like, with crazy things that like you wouldn't even know existed. Like people in the industry for 19 years were like, I didn't even know that guideline. Like I've had those deals happen already, which I mean, I'm actually thankful for because it will never happen again.
Oh, for sure. That's like mine today. Like, nope, you can't use that account.
Right, exactly. But it's one of those things where even just clear communication with a borrower, that's where the downfall was. Things were not properly communicated to me. They were kind of left in the gray area. And so then when we got down to the nitty gritty and I asked them for the information, they're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean? What do I mean? You said you rented. And they're like, yeah, but like from family, so we don't have a lease. And I said,
oh my
what?
God.
Like, well,
these questions are important. Explain to me so I understand.
But, for future, it makes me better at my job. Because then I will.
You will say, you will ask for the lease or whatever. Like, what do you mean by rent?
What do you mean by rent? Yeah, just say, yeah. So anyway, things like that though. But even though that fell through, I was able. We had a great conversation, and I actually was going to be able to save it by just using a different loan product.
Yeah.
But they ended up backing out anyway because they thought that the house was not even for them.
Yeah.
Which was crazy in itself. But all of that to say, like, there's always a solution. But I feel like just being able to properly communicate and have those hard conversations with clients and then figuring out a backup plan, are very big components. So if you're not good at hard conversations and you're not good
working as a team,
or picking yourself back up after something miserably fails, not the place for you.
No, definitely not.
I mean, that's the honest truth.
Yeah, it felt good to be a little vulnerable today because it was
I figured, it's crazy. I didn't even know what you were going through when I suggested.
I literally had it typed out to you and I'm like, nah, delete, I'll just wait till I get there.
That's so funny.
But it was just like, because I was like, I really hate my job today. I don't really, it was just like, and that's why we named this podcast what it is, because maybe it won't always be real estate or mortgage talk. It might be real talk or real life stuff. And, and this could be for anybody, someone looking to get into the real estate industry or the mortgage industry or whatever, like understanding like it's not selling Sunset
Yeah.
or $1 million listing, or the HGTV people that walk raccoons for $1 million. It's obviously a joke, but you get those random people in the, you know what I'm talking about? They come in and it's like, you're a babysitter and you make $200,000. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, you're like, who do you babysit? Because do you need a backup?
But it cracks me up. So I'm like, I don't even know what that job is. I didn't know it existed, but it's not great all the time. But these ones, like knowing that we're gonna get over this hurdle, it won't matter. In the end, it's a learning process, and when we get it closed, we're all gonna be happy.
And it'll happen because you already have a game plan in place, and that's what matters. You know, working with people who are like, okay, what's our plan B and C?
Yeah.
So
you have to have hard skin in this industry, but also be empathetic and understanding and all of the above.
And just realize it's not all Instagram highlight reels.
No, it's not.
The clear to closes that we post and the closing pictures.
And the sold in whatever, you know, like
the blood, sweat, and tears that probably went into that transaction, that's not being translated.
Like moving a refrigerator on your own without a dolly.
That was very strong.
I had to post it because I'm like, this is just great. Here we are.
I was like, wow, she's strong. That's what I thought as I like scrolled through. I was like, dang.
But you got to get down and dirty.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sometimes for me, my version of that is like driving all the way to Fort Myers to like literally help someone sign disclosures or pick up documents because they can't figure out how to email. I mean, granted, it's not physical, but it's going out of my way to like leave the office and pick up paperwork because, you know, that's what my clients need.
Yeah. It's not like, wait, you can't like screenshot that and send to me and like turn into a PDF. You know,
the answer was no, I don't know how to do it. And I said, I will meet you at your job then. Yep. I will be there in 35, 40 minutes.
You got to go above and beyond, and it's worth it. But
it is worth it.
Yeah. So thank you all for letting us be vulnerable today. Because we felt like we needed to be a little truthful today and just kind of release a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of share what was on our heart and on our minds and just the kind of struggles we've had lately with this market. And
people know that we're real people.
We are, for sure. We're not all just insurance, mortgage, and real estate talk.
Man, but so if you guys want any help and, you know, if you have questions even if you're not really ready to buy or you just aren't really in the know of your situation, like reach out to us because I think you can understand that we're in it for the right reasons and we're happy to help. So
absolutely. Yeah. I always say my advice, or my time, I don't charge you for it. So I want you to feel comfortable coming to me and or Gibby. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it kind of starts with me. So then Gibby and I work hand in hand to figure out what you actually qualify for. And like I always say, if you don't, we're going to put a plan together to figure out how we can get you on that right path. Mm-hmm. And then once we figure out what you qualify for, we hand you over to Miss Gibby and then you tell her all your wants and needs. Mostly, we probably will have to just go with needs. Wants, you know, top 3.
Yeah. We're going to write a pros and cons list.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to remember them, trust me.
No, she's amazing. She is amazing at what she does.
Yeah, but you guys can reach us at Real Talk, Real Life, Real Estate at gmail.com. If you're watching from YouTube, all of our information, even our personal Instagram, Facebooks, everything is accessible there. Yeah. Obviously, if you're listening on Spotify or the other outlets, just email us because we can't really get down and dirty and post all of our contact information on there. So
no, I just want to end this by just thanking you for being who you are. Thank you so much for your vulnerability.
Thank you too.
Thank you just for being willing to share the like really crappy thing you're currently walking through. Because you know that's not easy for people. Like it's easy to talk about past stories, but reality is you were very vulnerable today with exactly what's happening in your life. And I'm just thankful for you, for your friendship, for our business partnership. So I just wanted to end with that and just thank you for being you.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate it. It's weird too, because you knew, I think today too, because, you know, it's like, even today, it's like I was having a rough day, but I'm like, I still got to pick up and do what I have in my schedule. And
well, weirdly
I think
enough,
you knew that.
I don't know.
I'm like, my brain's not really working today. I don't know what the interest rates are, and I don't know what the median price in the market. I just want to talk about myself, okay?
Well, you know what? I was all for it because I think we all need a little bit of time to just be real.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's exactly what this podcast is. So
you don't see it a lot in this industry. So thank you as well.
Of course.
Yep.
All right, my friends, we will see you next time.
Yep. Episode 5 and we're out.
Bye.
6.
We're on 6, but it's okay.
Yeah, 6. Whatever. Bye.